In today's STEMinar, we are joined by Susan Wells, the founder and CEO of TechTerra Education, a certified women-owned small business. Susan Wells, an educator, innovator, and pioneer in the field of digital learning, innovative learning spaces, and makerspace design and development, is the founder of TechTerra Education. TechTerra Education is a company with a global reach and urgent mission: STEM access for all. The company has created STEM in a Box, a turnkey beyond the school day program for students from pre-K through middle school. TechTerra finds the most innovative tools for teaching and learning across the globe, builds standards-aligned integrated STEM curriculum, and provides professional development to ensure all teachers and students understand how to use these innovative tools. Susan served as a technology strategist with groups across the country and internationally focused on STEM, innovation, and technology in the K-12 education setting. She is the past president of the International Society of Education and Technology, ISTE, Mobile Learning Network, and served as K-12 Education Outreach Coordinator for Shodor, a national resource for computational science education. Susan is a seasoned international speaker and presenter. She is the author of Founders of Makerspaces, was named an EdTech Awards Leadership Finalist in 2018 and 2019, EdTech Awards Trendsetter winner in 2020, and was included in the top 100 EdTech Minds Behind What's New and What's Next 2020-2021. With over 30 years in education, Susan Wells served as elementary and middle school principal, central office administrator, behavioral specialist, teacher, technology coordinator, adjunct professor, and public speaker. In Chapel Hill, North Carolina, Susan and her team introduced and deployed the first one-to-one deployment of iOS devices for all students and staff in the K-12 environment in the United States. All right, and so tell viewers about TechTerra Education.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to be here. TechTerra Education is a STEM company. We are a certified women-owned business, which we're very excited about and proud to be able to share. We have been working since 2016 on STEM access for every single student. We're a company of educators, so everybody in the company has worked in schools, certified educators, preschool through 12th grade, and we are really committed to every student having the chance to work with the stuff you see around me, with the robots you see around me, with the augmented reality, with the digital fabrication. These are the careers of our future, of today, but also of tomorrow, and every student ought to be able to play in that playground, and that's our commitment as a company. That's our mission.
And so knowing that, what sets you all apart, because STEM is everywhere. And so we see tons of STEM organizations popping up that's seeking to serve youth. What sets TechTerra Education apart from those other organizations?
Yeah, it's a great question, because thank goodness, there are more and more STEM companies now. One thing that sets us apart is that we are a certified women-owned business. And again, very proud to be able to say that sitting in the room, because we know that women are underserved, underrepresented in the world of STEM, tremendously underrepresented. People of color, females are tremendously underrepresented, and it's really important to us to say these are jobs you can have. These are good paying careers. These are interesting, engaging careers. And whoever is in front of us, these are jobs for you. And so that's one thing right off the bat that I think sets us apart. The second thing is that we are educators. So we are not people with backgrounds in, the big box stores who they're going out there and let's sell to everybody. And our mission is just to sell as many units as we can. Seems like a good idea, but frankly, we're about getting these tools in the hands of young people. We are educators. Between us, I hate to count the years, honestly, the hundreds of years of experience that we have, my own 30 some years as the founder of the company in public education, and with a commitment to that, we understand how education works, whether it's the school setting, whether it's the after school setting, whether it's the summer camp setting. We've been in those places. We've taught in those places, and we understand how those organizations run. What does it take to engage kids in these activities? What does it take to capture their attention? When you look at our product, and our core product is our STEM in a box. So everything you see around me goes in our STEM in a box. We organize through what we call the stations of STEM. Again, our commitment is to exploring this world of STEM. So with our STEM in a box, which we believe is a unique product, you're going to have the opportunity to explore robotics. I've got a fancy robot here in front of me. Every single one of our STEM in a box comes with a full set of robots, depending on the age level, whatever's appropriate. This robot looks real different than that robot, but they're both appropriate at that grade level for that age child. So it's an exploration of the different areas of STEM, from robotics to connected learning to digital fabrication with our stop motion. Drones are back here behind me. I don't know if you can see them, but drones in flight, they're a core part of STEM. All of these different aspects of STEM, we're committed to kids being able to step into what we can again call that sandbox, design engineering, let kids have those experiences, and then kids will decide what interests them and where they want to go from there. But what sets us apart, I think more than anything, is our experience as educators, again, across that spectrum from after school to summer to the school day, and understanding what that looks like. That we've been at this for a very long time. And 2016 is when this started. But if you go back to our own work and my personal work in the area of STEM, goes back some dozen years with our very first makerspace, longer than that now. I keep counting my years wrong, but maybe 12, 15 years in STEM, which is really a long time. I mean, honest to Pete, it was just 5 years ago, people were still saying, now, what is STEM? What is that? Now, of course, that doesn't happen as often as you were saying. There are more STEM companies. But we hold, we think, a really unique place with our STEM in a box products, with our stations of STEM, with our curriculum. It's bound, you carry it around. That's important. You know, a lot of curriculums, a lot of lesson plans for these activities are digital. So you've got a teacher with their phone, or you've got a camp counselor trying to scroll through. Where are those resources? Well, for us, it's in print. It's bound. You flip over to the page you need, and there you go. And you can carry that around with you. And that makes a difference in the experience. And we also include training with our STEM in a box. So we don't want these tools to go out and hopes and dreams that people will know how to use them. No, we're going to make sure that you've got the training, as well as great lesson plans, easy to use, and then real tools. These, as I was just picking up that robot, I'll pick up one other robot. This is not, and again, not knocking consumables. Yarn and paper are important, but this is a robot made out of metal. You're going to have this robot when you buy our programs. You're going to have it this year and next year and the year after for a long time to come. These are durable goods. So we believe that that our programs really set us apart and have a unique space in the world of STEM.
And so you talked a little bit about STEM in a box. How does it accelerate youth learning specifically?
Yeah, you know, this has been no surprise to anybody. The last 18 months, really now the last couple of years, have just been so hard for young people across ages. And I truly believe that the world of after school has such a core place to make up that lost learning time. And, you know, we talk about making up lost learning time. And I think about that personally. I think, how are you going to make up that time? Can you go back? You can't really, but you know what you can do? You can accelerate learning for sure. And you can accelerate learning because you can find things that are super engaging. Our kids missed out on the opportunity for hands-on learning for 18 months, you know, in many cases for almost 2 years. Well, this is hands-on learning. Kids are going to have these things in their hand. They're going to be coding these, programming these things. So that hands-on aspect of it, in terms of accelerated learning, one of the things that we've spent years developing is integrated content. So when you pick up our lessons, you're picking up a lesson that has a standards aligned language arts lesson for fifth graders. You're going to pick up a lesson that is aligned with the social studies curriculum for eighth graders. You're going to pick up a lesson, of course, with science, math, language arts, social studies, design engineering, with STEM, core STEM standards. Everything is standards aligned so that we take those core pieces that we have to accelerate because we know kids miss time. And we say, you know what, we can accelerate that because we've written a lesson that is super fun, super engaging. You're going to do something that is an absolute blast. I picked up my stop motion camera back here, but why would you not? If you're going to do a language arts lesson and you've got to design and tell a story, why wouldn't you storyboard that and take up your Lego minifigs and then do a stop motion animation film with that? I mean, that is just super fun. And yet it integrates that content and accelerates that missed time for kids in a way that we believe is super fun and super engaging. Well, we know it's fun. Fun is one of our core pieces. So when we think about that accelerated time, the term that we heard so much of it first, as I already said, was that make up that time, but I don't think you can go back. So what we have to do is accelerate. And I think that STEMinar Box is an awesome solution to accelerate with standards aligned lessons that are integrated with hands-on, super cool things to do, and yet bringing you into those core grade level skills, starting at our early learning stage all the way through 8th grade and across each content area.
So how does TechTerra education make STEM accessible for all students, regardless of their socioeconomic status or their geographic location? How do you make that accessible to them?
Yeah, so we have worked with educators across the United States, first to examine what are you teaching? What are those standards? As we know, we don't really have a national curriculum in the US. So we've got those school day standards, and we know that after school programs and even summer programs really try very hard to align with those core standards. So that's our first responsibility, is to be super clear on what is it you expect a 4th grader to learn if, at math. And we can look at the standards for Texas, we can look at the TEKS, we can look at California, we can look at Illinois, and we can pull that together into those really core, what are the core building blocks? And that's the first accessibility piece, is to make sure we've got those core building blocks in place so that wherever you are in this country, that this will align with what you're working on at your grade level. So that's the first thing that we do. Another piece of our work is to make sure that the lessons themselves are just easy to use. Again, we put them in the spiral bound book. We think that's really important. And for the kids, there are worksheets to follow, not always quite as much fun, but really important to make sure that we're assessing. We think you learned this, but let's make sure that you learned it. And whether that happens with a worksheet, whether that happens with a video that they make and they put that in their STEM portfolio, whether that happens with a rubric. So we are looking at, here's what you were working on and here's what you've learned, and then making sure kids can talk about what they've learned. One of the things TechTerra has done over the last year is that we have really made a commitment to trying to get hands-on tools to kids, directly to kids. So we have partnered up with some of our product companies, and we have sent out close to now $500,000 in STEM tools to get those in the hands of young people, because that's our mission. I mean, we are educators. We want kids to be using these tools. So that's part of the work that we do, is we do provide these donations to get these tools in kids' hands. So we make easy to use lessons, easy to use resources for kids. We make sure that they are super engaging. We make sure that we can reach kids across the country, and we make sure that that work is going to align with their work in their classrooms and at their grade level.
Yeah, and so once the product is in the kids' hands, how does TechTerra education help build their STEM identity? So I'm a teacher, I buy this, I want to really increase the way my students look at themselves, look at the world through a STEM lens. How does TechTerra education help build that?
What a amazing question. I love that question, because that actually gets to the core of the work. So in designing the STEMinar Box, again, the first building block of that for us was to look at that world of STEM. People do talk about STEM, and often, I don't know if you ever heard this, but often we'll hear things like, we're going to do STEM. And I'm thinking to myself, what does that mean to someone? They're going to do STEM. For us, when we talk about a STEM program, what we want to make, and people say STEM or STEAM or STREAM, lots of ways to say that. So I think that exploratory part is really important. What we want to do is identify for kids what they're doing. We want to add language to that. For instance, this is the robotics station. So if they're working on robots, helping them understand, oh, okay, so that is separate than other parts of STEM. So when we send out our STEMinar Box, there are 8 9, 10 different stations they're working on. And that's powerful right off the bat, because kids, when they're doing STEM, having that vocabulary and language to start to sort that out. Well, what does this really mean for me? Why is this important for me? So when you look at our stations, again, there's signage, organizational pieces that come along with our STEM in a Box. And we help teachers first set up that learning space. All right, we're making stop motion animation, so we're doing movie making. That's a real skill. That's real. That's not like, oh, that might be kind of nifty. That's a real skill. We've got kids right now who are in California at the New York Film Academy who have come through our programs and have found that's really their dream and their mission. And how powerful is that? And they start by first adding vocabulary. Well, how do I do this? Okay, it's a camera, but what does that really mean? Well, I've got to think about and plan about and design something before I can jump right in and take pictures. So giving them those building blocks and the vocabulary. When you look at coding, everybody talks about coding. We hear a lot of talk when we go into schools across the country. We could be anywhere in the country. We could be in Utah. We could be in Ohio. We could be in Illinois. And we'll say, so have you guys done any coding? Even today, have you done any coding? And oftentimes they'll say no, but if they say yes, they'll say, oh, we do Hour of Code. And I have deep respect and appreciation for Hour of Code. It's been a wonderful, wonderful movement to get kids thinking about 1 hour in December, we're going to code. And that's awesome. But what's the real meaning behind that? What are the real building blocks of coding, that directional code, that visual block of information, moving to text information, which in our world today is what makes the world go round, and helping kids, again, have different hands-on tools to get there, but also begin to build their interest and understanding so that they can move from scratch coding, which is fun, it's a visual block code, but they can move from that to web design. I want to design a video game. They can do that with our STEM in a Box programs. I want to move from coding to digital fabrication. I'm really interested in 3D printing. Digital fabrication is one of the stations. And in a lot of places, that means watching a 3D printer go, which is kind of fun the first time or two that you watch it. But what's it really about? Well, what it's really about, honestly, is geometry, right? Because we're designing in that digital space. So these kids move from being introduced to the digital fabrication to really moving to building real skills. Young kids, older kids, it's the real thing. I could go on, on and on for each station because we are, but certainly I am so passionate about giving every child the access to understand every single one of these stations. And there is not a time. I will tell you, our very first camps were back in 2012, before we, the whole company and so on, our very first camps. And those kids, the very first kids who started into this exploration of STEM, there has not been one, not since 2012. There's not been one time that we've run an experience after school, summer, in the school day, where we've had kids say, I don't choose to do any of this, not one time. And I say that with great honesty and sincerity. Because when you give kids choice, when you give them building blocks, when you give them the language and vocabulary to start understanding what this work really is, they will find something in this for them.
Absolutely. And shifting the focus a little bit, thinking about the adults, because much like the children, we need to feel confident in what we're delivering. And as a former educator, one of the things that I used to run into all the time, and a STEM PBL coordinator, was I don't know what I'm doing. And the kids are young and they're tech savvy and they know what they're doing. And so with that, how does TechTerra education support the educators in building their confidence and capacity in STEM?
Yeah, and I will tell you, that's something that we talk about all the time, is how can we make sure that we support the providers in using a STEM in a Box. So you've got kids, we put together tools that are super engaging. Again, there's not a time when kids say there's nothing here for me, but I will tell you, and we're real upfront about this, there's a lot to learn. There is a lot. I mean, you're getting these 2 big boxes and things that a lot of teachers have never touched before. If you're talking about upper elementary and middle school, they're going to get drones. And for the most part, Our camp counselors, our educators have never put their hands on a drone before, oftentimes never used a robot before, probably never coded before. So we've got to support the individuals who are actually going to carry this out. And we're very, very aware of that. In terms of who uses our STEM in a Box, we've got teachers leading those programs. We've got instructional assistants leading those programs. We've got paraprofessionals. In some cases, we have parent volunteers. Sometimes we have high school students and college students. So it's really all over in terms of who's leading these programs. So we know we have to offer support to that end, past the ease of use of reading the lesson plans themselves, adding QR codes, adding the organizational tools of the signage. So we explain how to set up the learning space, the organizational mats where kids, when they're cleaning up, lay the pieces out, and your team leader, your leader of the classroom can look out across the classroom and go, okay, all those pieces are back in place, because there's a lot of stuff here. So helping people keep up with all the stuff is a core piece of this. The bottom line, though, kind of the most important thing is the ongoing support that we provide. I said earlier, we provide training with the STEM in a Box, and we do. So every time you purchase a STEM in a Box, you can come into our virtual studio and we schedule a time just with your team, so that we'll even unbox it with you. We've got ours, you've got yours, and we'll unbox each piece and talk about where it is and what station it fits into. Because you might look at it and go, I don't really know where that fits, but we're going to help you make sure you know where it fits in terms of a station and kind of where it comes up throughout the lessons. And then finally, every single week, it starts in September, it doesn't end until May. We run a weekly question and answer session right here in the virtual studio. So one of our staff members is here every single week, and people come in, which is really kind of fun, all over the country. And they bring questions. If they can't be here face to face, they send us questions in. And every single Thursday, we're answering questions. We're having conversations about the challenges. Last week, we had a lot of challenges about just managing all the tools. Where do I put them? Once I get them out of the box, how do I keep up with them? And that's what we're here to do. So literally all year, we're here for you. Then the summer begins. And guess what? For our summer programs, we're here again from June through August, every single week, because stuff comes up, and it's not enough to do the one and done training and say, hope you enjoy the STEM in a Box. We're just not interested in that. We want to make sure that as you're using it and you run into something, that we are here to support you, and you know that you can come in and we will be here every single Thursday. And if you can't be here live, send your questions in and it gets recorded, and you can go to our library and check out, for the question you've asked. So we know that the leaders of these programs need the support, and we do. We are absolutely committed to providing that ongoing support.
That's amazing. And what are some other ways that providers can leverage STEM in a Box in their programs?
Yeah, we all over the country, we've actually done some work globally, although our standards are US standards. And it's really interesting where STEM in a Box is being used and how people are looking for that turnkey program. We certainly have many, many after-school programs, from boys and girls clubs to YMCA to faith-based organizations to school after-school programs, lots of 21st century programs using STEM in a Box really as their core STEM program within the after-school setting. We have lots of schools using the programs during the STEM day. We have schools running a STEM Friday. We have some schools, particularly middle schools, have started running a STEM elective. In the same way that you might have orchestra and band, you also now have STEM, and they're using the STEM in a Box programs for that. At the primary school, oftentimes you'll see media centers that have added a STEM or makerspace component, and they're using our STEM in a Box as their tools and their curriculum for that time of the day. And then of course there's summer. We actually have 39 different STEM in a Box programs. So we have our core programs for after school, kind of that hour long, every single day for the school year. But then summer comes, and the providers are using STEM in a Box as their summer program. And what's cool is, for instance, if at the primary level, a provider purchased a bots and bugs and bots program, which of course is going to include, learning about robots, and that'll be the theme, and learning about bugs and being outdoors. but they've got that STEM in a box that they might use for a week. And then in a lot of cases in the summertime, those kids move on to a different camp or a different part of the camp. And there's another group of kids that comes in. And what's wonderful is they use that same camp again. All the materials and tools are still there. We have providers using that same one kit that they might have purchased for 6 weeks in the summer, for 8 weeks in the summer, over and over again, because again, these are durable products. They're not, those consumable craft products that'll be gone, after one use. So those are some of the ways that right now providers are using the STEM in a Box programs. Every single program, our after school program comes with an entire class set of all the tools. So we plan for a class set of 30 students. So when you get a STEM in a Box in, you will have enough in that box for 30 kids. And again, in the summertime, whether those 30 kids come in this week and another 30 next week and another 30, you will have everything you need to kind of keep using that same STEM in a Box. So that's how it's organized for providers to hopefully make this extremely easy to use, long lasting, heavy duty, and really the best tools for the stations.
Thank you so much, Susan. I really appreciate this. I know that the providers across North Carolina and whoever else is watching this is really going to gain a lot, because I'm excited about STEM in a Box. I know that there are children across the nation and the world that is excited about STEM in a Box. And yeah, I can't wait to see it in action.
Well, thank you so much for letting us be here and talk about STEM and talk about, exploring STEM. It really is our mission, and we're committed to it, and just appreciate being able to talk about it.
Want to see TechTerra education in action? Stay tuned for a brief demonstration of the STEM in a Box.
So thanks for coming in. We're ready for your questions about STEM in a Box. I actually have a STEM in a Box sitting right here. Super fast. STEM in a Box, these are turnkey programs, so they're ready to roll. If you're looking at running a summer camp, you're looking at a very interesting year kind of behind us and accelerating learning for the summertime, we are ready for you. Take a look at the website, go on and look at our STEM in a Box. This is kind of how they look when they get to you, the big old box, and inside is everything you need to get started with the STEM in a Box programs, basically for every grade, strand, level, starting at pre-K. So your 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds can explore STEM, and then your primary students and all the way up through middle school. And we have, again, a lot of information to share about what that looks like today. It's different, isn't it? But what it looks like in terms of grouping kids, what it looks like in terms of how do you clean this afterwards? What surfaces do you have to clean on a drone after they've been used? Certainly, how do you get ready with an iPad? Lots of you are using different devices. I know the districts have talked a lot about that and different organizations, but what do you do to get ready to make sure you can hand this over to the next student, the next student? When I start to pull out in this STEM in a Box, the very first thing on top is actually going to be that guide. You want to run that hour-long, maybe camp or club after school, or maybe you want to run that STEM Friday, or maybe you want to run a STEM lunchtime. Certainly when students come in earlier, you might want to run STEM during that time. This is literally hour-by-hour lessons for you. So this is going to take you through lessons, and just really important, these are standards-aligned lessons. So if you're looking at, well, that all sounds cool, but where does it fit in my day? Take a look at the standards aligned lesson. When it comes to you, you're getting the book itself, and you're getting literally everything in the box, ready to roll, ready to get started with your STEM after school program, your STEM lunchtime program, your STEM Friday, or getting ready for those summer STEM camps. So here's your book that comes with it. Inside, I'm just going to show you a few things. You got your Sparkables cards, which are your idea creation cards. This is design and engineering. If you're making things, and probably you are, every STEM in a Box comes with our Sparkables cards. And not just one of them, but enough so that you can give them out to different groups of students and really have an entire class working with these. Every STEM in a Box is going to come with enough product for you to run your program for anywhere from 25 to 30 students. Ready to roll. I mean, when we talk turnkey, we're serious about turnkey. We are educators, So we're not trying to say, well, you can have one of these and one of these. No, you're going to get everything you need out of the box ready to roll. The purpose of our STEM in a Box programs are for kids to explore STEM. It's not, kind of that just learn to code or just learn to fly a drone. No, we want you to learn a whole slew of STEM skills. A lot of the STEM in a Box kinds of programs that you see and kinds of products you see, nothing wrong with this, guys, but there are a lot of crafts, right? You get a lot of pipe cleaners, and maybe you get paper and glue and scissors. Our box is full of learning tools, STEM tools, hands-on tools. This is another one that's so important, and this is our movie making. Stop motion animation, Zoo 3D. This comes with a camera, plugs into anything that you have, literally. You can use an iPad with it, you can use a Chromebook with it, you can be web-based with it, and your kids can make movies, and it's absolutely fantastic. They can make stop motion animation movies, and super fun. And again, you still have it next year, and the year after, and the year after. Don't forget to reach out to us, info@techterraeducation.com. TechTerraeducation.com is our website. Thanks so much.
To learn more about TechTerra Education, visit www.techterraeducation.com. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos like this and others that we know you'll enjoy. Do you have an idea for a STEMinar or a webinar that you would love to see NCCAP cover? Well, comment below or check out our website at www.ncafterschool.org.